What's good with the YouTube? You already know. Real Talk with Flacco. This is your boy Flacco coming live and direct. And on this platform, what do? We dive into sensitive issues, delicate matters concerning prisons, gangs, community, recidivism, as well as addiction. And as you can tell by the title, man, we're going to talk about a recent addressal by the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. So on April 19th, 2021, we're very aware of what happened to an individual named Mario Gonzalez. Mario Gonzalez was a transit individual who was originally from Oakland, who was a Sureño. He was encountered by the cops that there was a call, a non-emergency, of a man that seemed like he was impaired or under the influence or drunk. They came, they had a little discussion, but he did not have any type of ID. The cops elected to try to put him in handcuffs. He gave a little bit resistance, but not too much. They took him to the ground in a very aggressive fashion. Had the knee to the back like always in numerous situations as we've been seeing. You can see the man saying that he cannot breathe a couple minutes into this, and yet they continued to restrain him. Okay, so this was like I've addressed this before. The main issue I have with this, right, is you've had all kinds of other cases, right, that have been involved that have been similar to the George Floyd incident, but have got no type of media attention, none whatsoever. This one was basically fell on deaf ears within a week. People forgot about this whole case. But I haven't. You know what I mean? I think that any form of police abuse, whatever color you are, whatever race, sexual orientation, it should always be an issue whenever you see abuses or you see law enforcement officers outside of a code of proper conduct. Now, I don't get it. In all these cases, the same thing keeps on happening. The men keep on saying that they cannot breathe, and not one officer decides, hey, let's see if he's okay. All these situations I've been reviewing and I've been studying tape and footage, the same things happen. These officers have no type of training or understanding that when someone says they don't breathe, that you're supposed to check to see if they're okay. Okay, the officers involved in this were a James Fisher, Cameron Leahy, and Eric McKinley. All three of these officers have been on paid leave since this incident. Okay, now they had a 40-page district attorney report that was submitted by the Alameda County and the district attorney's office. And what they did was they found that there was no grounds to file charges on these officers because basically they performed within the expectations of their guidelines. So this is going to be kind of a catchy case for them, man. The hard part is that there was an autopsy that came out, and they found that due to his obesity, alcoholism, and addiction, that the extreme stress and the way in which that he was also attacked and restrained was the cause of death. And they actually listed this cause of death as homicide. So, as you already know, any Peace Officers Association, Sheriff's Department, Highway Patrol, Department of Corrections, they are usually one of the most powerful unions in the state of California. They're going to put every money forward that they can to protect their officers. And so it's always been an uphill battle. The thing that's been helping the last few years has been that the uprise of people taking their cameras out and filming these footages, as well as the body footage. See, I get the whole guidelines for law enforcement to restrain individuals, but there also has to be some type of guidelines when someone says, I can't breathe. There's no excuse for that. As an officer trained in duty, anytime you have anyone that has to suffer maybe from a potential, medical condition or whatever it may be, you as an officer should be able to check to make sure that person is okay. There's been several cases I've seen over and over again. The same thing has occurred. This man did not deserve to die. Okay. He wasn't hurting anybody. Yes, he suffered from addiction issues, alcoholism, and so forth. But how many people have suffered from those same vices and turned their life around? See, that's the key thing to these type of cases, man. And see, anytime you have a case where someone dies, especially in the state of California, that is a unarmed minority, but in the hands of law enforcement, or even a white who dies in the hands of law enforcement, you get no type of uprise. Look what happened in the CHP case I dropped recently. That individual Their family could not get that footage for 2 years until a federal judge ordered it to be released. You know, so everybody sometimes thinks that California is this liberal state, which it is. But even in a liberal state, they still try to hide scandalous things, and they still try to protect their own. Um, it's hard to really give a full account of this issue. Now, one, I get the guidelines. You know what I'm saying? If someone it gets too aggressive and hostile, you're gonna have to restrain them by any means necessary. I don't think it should take you 5 to 7 minutes to put someone in handcuffs. You know, um, and I think as officers, that's the last form of actions you want to take towards someone. A lot of times, these officers look at people as being homeless or um, mentally challenged, mentally unstable, and they think that that gives them the right just to treat these individuals like any form or fashion that they decide. And this is a classic example of what happened here. You know, the end game here is that he's a human being, and that law enforcement's actions and inactions are what caused his death. You know, and for the district attorney, which doesn't surprise me in Alameda County, they got to have what they consider a locked up case, man, because they throw out murder cases all the time over there because they have so many of them in that county that when these type of cases are brought to their table, it has to be a seal tight case. And I guess that potentially they see some loopholes, and the loophole that they're seeing is that the department's manual of how to restrain individuals is technically they fell in accordance to what's expected. Now, I don't agree with that. I think that what they did was cruel and unusual punishment, and the family have filed a federal lawsuit. Um, but my part is the lack of medical treatment, the lack of medical acknowledgement. You don't know what's going on with the individual, what type of health condition he has. So when he's telling you he cannot breathe, a police officer should take the duty to find out what's going on. I mean, he wasn't aggressive enough for them to say, oh, he's just too aggressive. You know what I mean? If not, then you take other measures. You don't just continue to put your knee on people's backs, because every time that happens, someone dies. You know? And like I said in previous spills, man, when I'm breaking down the cases that are similar, I have a real problem with the media's addressal of these type of issues. Now, I'd have the same type of energy if this was a African American black male. You know what I mean? I'm all for nobody being mistreated like that. I just find it funny that if it doesn't push the media's narrative, which is always politically based, they love the headlines, black male, but they don't do nothing whenever it's a Hispanic, white, Asian, or anyone else. These things have to be brought to the attention, to the general public, because I don't see how this case didn't get no attention. I don't see how other cases that we're seeing in California are not getting the attention. And we as a public, have to, take a stand. We have to push for these issues. We have to push for more accountability. There is definitely a lack of medical treatment here. I believe there was cruel and unusual punishment as well. I feel that the cops are responsible for his death. Now, don't get it wrong. There is times where law enforcement have to seriously restrain those that are just a total danger to everybody, including themselves. But this scenario wasn't like that. He wasn't hostile. He wasn't aggressive. He wasn't any of that. He just didn't understand why he was being put in handcuffs for the most part. A little incoherent. But hey, when you're on the streets, things happen. People are not always at their best. He's going through enough hardship than to be publicly shamed in public, man. And that's what I have a problem with too, man. Is a lot of these law enforcement officers, they feel like because they have authority and duty and responsibility that they can take this type of action, man. And basically, like a person isn't even a human being. You know what I'm saying? Like the shame that you can see on an individual's face. I mean, his ass was halfway shown. They didn't have no concerns about that, man. It's almost like that gun ho John Wayne mentality everybody talks about with certain police officers, or that arrogance. You know what I mean? This is someone's life. This is someone's son. This is someone's father, brother, cousin. No one deserves to go out that way, man. And I said in previous spills, man, that one of the things that we need to change, especially in California, is we need to hold other officers just as accountable if one of their officers breaks the rules, if one of their officers engages in cruel and unusual behavior. Once you start to have officers that are held accountable, whether you're doing it or not, you're not going to have no more of this blue code. You know what I mean? To where you don't tell on your fellow officers for abusing their authority. You know, you see what's going on down the LA in the sheriff's department where they have these sheriff gangs. You know what I'm saying? up in Oakland too, they had that for a minute. You know, so we got to break that cycle in order for there to be police reform and to regain any trust between the community and law enforcement. There needs to be more accountability. You enforce a law like that, right? You're going to have a lot less of these incidents. It doesn't mean that they won't occur from time to time, but you can contain them to where it's not as effective and normal as it is today. Because think about it, most law enforcement officers, it's their 9 to 5. They're going in to do their shift to get paid. They want their pension, they want their medical, they want their dental, they want all that for their family. So if that's threatened, as well as the rest of their career being slandered and blackballed for a court conviction for not doing their job, you know, a lot more officers are going to do the right thing. And so those are things that need to be enforced, as well as now we need to look into their department manual and how they handle restraints. How do they handle medical conditions? We can't have a situation like this continue to happen over and over again to where, oh, we were following policy. Well, your policy got him killed. Didn't you hear the man say that he couldn't fucking breathe? It makes no sense. But those are the issues, man, like within your local, city, local county. These are the things that you need to kind of address to, those that are representing you out there politically. These have to be issues of concern if it's happening over and over again in these communities. Mario Gonzalez, he didn't deserve to die. A lot of other individuals did not deserve to die. And the media needs to treat these cases equally, because it seems when it comes to anything that has to do with the Mexican Hispanic narrative, it's not really of concern unless it's discussing the border. And all that is fueled by political narratives to assist certain political parties in accordance to what media outlet they're associated with. Self-explicit, we already know it. You know what I mean? And so some cases will be used as an example to push certain agendas. And that's where the riots start to get created and so forth, man. But we need the support of everyone. If people, like in George Floyd's situation, want the Rasta community to support it, they have to support it when Rasta goes through this. They have to have that same energy, and there needs to be more voices out there voicing their opinion on that. We don't have as strong of community leaders within our communities that are no longer corrupt. Organizations that are nonprofit at times start off good in the beginning, but once money gets involved, it starts to get a little bit corrupt. Because then therefore the politics come in line as well. Anyways, man, this is just a quick spill. You guys know me. I have to address real issues, man. Bring it to the table, make y'all think about it, and hear what you guys have to say. It's your boy Flacco. I'm out.